I'm Zach, guy behind the camera, Dylan. We're going to work on my 93 Grand Cherokee today. It's got a few things done to it. We'll get into that later. Doesn't really matter. What matters is we're having some fender rubbing issues. We just got done with a bunch of changes, and I really like my new tires, so I don't really want to cut them up. So we've got a little fender lip right in here, and we're going to take that out. We're going to fold it up in here, and then we're going to focus on this area right here where all this is rubbing. So we've got a couple of things in here to take care of, and then kind of the same thing on the front. All right, so we're going to see how deep we want to take this and see exactly what we want to trim out of here. But at the very least, we're going to cut and fold this back so none of this can grab anymore. So, and then we're probably going to take and cut a little bit off this slider as well. As you can see, it's rubbing just the same. So, time to make some noise. All right. Well, we got the easy part done. So, if you look in here, we've got the whole inner lip folded in, and everything in here is now nice and smooth. We'll take a flap wheel to it and we'll clean it up just a little bit more. And we're gonna get into the fun part. While I'm doing this, I'm trying to take as much effort as I can to not remove pinch seam welds and to remove a lot of structural integrity from the vehicle. So in an effort to do that, a lot of people would just cut this off and they would get rid of it. We are going to fold these things flat, and from there we'll hammer them up. But I'm trying to keep as much original sheet metal intact as I possibly can. So we're going to take these bits right here and we're going to fold them into here, and then I might take the welder even and stitch them together a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut right in here, and then we'll fold all of this back over, and then we'll do just a couple of stitch welds right along all of this to tie it back together. But that'll seal that up. That'll give us a bunch more clearance out here. We've already gained quite a bit. If you just look there, I mean, you've gained another finger's width, roughly an inch or so of clearance back out of that that you wouldn't have otherwise. Normally, you would just bring the wheelbase backwards with an adjustable control arm. You know, I've got Ironman 4x4 fab on here. It's infinitely adjustable. The problem is we're hitting a really large steel bumper back here, and it's way easier to remove a little material here than it is to figure out how to redo all of this. So we're gonna go ahead and we've got all this cut, so we'll fold all this in. We'll make a couple more cuts right in here, and once we've got those made, we'll fold this in back on that, and we'll see what we've got to work with. The owner before us took this thing on a bunch of South Carolina dirt mud trails, and the rockers are absolutely packed full of this crap. So if you're wondering why your Grand Cherokee has rusted rockers and you've ever taken it in a bunch of mud, it's because the rockers are full of this crap, and it holds a bunch of moisture. So that is why your rockers are rusty. Don't go in mud. Mud is not good. Play on rocks. Now we're getting it all closed back up. We'll get some seam sealer. We'll get all this nice and sealed back up again. But that's the basic gist of how to cut and fold that area with a pretty basic set of hand tools and a good old hammer. I'm trying some things, and we're kind of messing with some stuff. So we pulled this back out, and you can kind of see our little Sharpie line there. That's not written in stone. It's just kind of a general guideline for what we're going to use on some of these cuts to kind of follow the stock radius and to make it look as factory as possible while opening this wheel well up as much as possible as well. So we got this about 98% of the way there. I got a little bit of flap wheeling to do here and here just to kind of smooth that transition out. But we've taken just about all that we can out of this and cleaned it up. So what's left is a little bit of welding and a whole lot of seam sealer to get that sealed back up like factory. And now, as you can see, my tire has been pulling on this. So we're gonna take it right about here and we're gonna do a couple of relief cuts and we're gonna fold that back this way. We came in, we made some cuts. There's the back cargo floor right here. So we kind of use that as our reference. We cut all the way up and then we just made this flat. And again, we'll come back in with some seam sealer. We'll clean this all up and we'll make it back to factory again. We're gonna take a little bit off of these sliders. Also pet peeve as to why I hate prefab stuff. It's prefabbed around what somebody else's idea of perfect is. So last set I did on these, I built them myself. This set I got a really good deal on some already made ones. Give and take, you know, you kind of got to pick and choose your battles. But we've gotten all this done. We've got it all cleaned up and ready to weld. So before we weld all this, we're just going to tack some of this stuff in place to regain some structure in there. Once we do that, we're going to cut this and I'll cap that at a later date. We got to get some metal to do that with. But we'll seam seal all this up and then we're going to rubberized undercoat the entire inner fender here. This is now completely even with this, so shouldn't be grabbing the tire anymore. We'll clean it up with the old flap wheel and then we'll make a cap for it, weld it all back together, and you'll never know we did it. Normally, you don't want to see these, but now it's actually kind of a good thing. So we're going to start messing with some seam sealer. You know, you can do what you want. I'm going to always recommend using the right tool for the job or the right epoxy for the job. This is a urethane seam sealer, same stuff they use on the factory. So, you know, get that. This is the same stuff that they're using in here to seam seal all this stuff so you don't get a bunch of moisture and all sorts of stuff like that in there causing rust and letting the panel separate and move around. So we went over to the auto parts store, we picked this up, and we're going to get it ready to go. We're going to hop in and we're going to start seam sealing it up. So this is really all we were going for. We just wanted to seal this up so nothing could get back in here. And using a seam sealer, it's really going to help hold it together and prevent a bunch of cracking and, you know, things you don't want when you don't want a bunch of crap getting back in here like happened before when people take these things out in the mud. So we're really happy with how this is going to turn out. We've also got a can of rubberized undercoating. So once that's done, we're going to spray this whole wheel well back down and it'll all be nice and uniform. You'll never even know we were here. Well, it's been about 2 days since we finished up the cut and then the seam seal that we did in here on the rear fender cut. So that's had more than adequate time to dry. So this morning, it's a balmy 19 degrees outside, but it's nice and warm in the shop here. So we're going to spray some undercoating, but first we've got a little prep and taping to take care of. You can totally tell this has been sprayed before. It's been holding up well. Time to spray a little rubberized undercoating in here and seal all this back up. You can see it's already been sprayed here before, but over here there's just bare metal. So we're gonna get all of that sealed back up and we're gonna not have any rust issues here in the future. So we got all this undercoating sprayed in. It's still drying up just a little bit, but nice uniform, nice even coat. We might come in and do a second coat, but one coat gives you the idea. You just kind of see what we're after there. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up our cut and fold here on the back fenders. Got everything painted up. Waiting on a few things to really finish drying, mainly that rubberized undercoating. It'll take a little bit. So got our wheels back on. We're gonna go to work and go do our things, but if you want to see content on Fridays, follow RockCrawlinJeeps, both Instagram and YouTube, And if you want to see more of what I do, follow Big Goofy One on Instagram. So we'll see you guys next time.